When society finally rips at the seams, maybe slowly, maybe all at once, people won't think. They won't plan. They won't strategize. They'll react. And reactions are predictable, which is exactly why they're dangerous. Humans are herd animals pretending to be independent thinkers, and when the world goes sideways, the herd will stampede. Where? Straight into the worst possible places. This script is about the evac routes everyone chooses during a crisis, and why following them is basically volunteering to be a statistic. Let's walk through the panic patterns, the danger zones, the false safe havens, and the brutal truth of where you should go instead. Because when the world ends, the biggest threat isn't the disaster. It's the people trying to outrun it. The first place everyone goes, the highways. Of course they do. Highways are long, straight, familiar. They represent escape, freedom, movement. Every disaster movie has a shot of a hero driving down an empty highway. Reality check. Highways are death corridors. When panic hits, people pour onto them like water, finding the lowest point. It takes minutes for major highways to jam, hours to completely freeze, and days before the cars stop being cars and start being obstacles. Here's why highways kill. Traffic turns into a stationary target. No shade plus no water equals dehydration. No toilets equals contamination. No fuel equals immobilization. No turnarounds equals entrapment. If society is collapsing, the highways become a parking lot of scared, hungry, angry people with no resources and no plan. And if the cause of collapse is hostile, enemy invasion, civil breakdown, attack, guess what the first targets are? Major roads, highways, bridges, choke points. Highways aren't escape routes. They're funnels. The second place everyone goes, the grocery stores. If you ever want to measure the average IQ of a crowd in a crisis, walk into a supermarket right when chaos starts. Watch people fight over bottled water while ignoring the gallons of water in the toilet tanks. Watch them claw over bread while ignoring entire shelves of calorie-dense canned food. Grocery stores will empty within hours, become hotspots for violence, attract desperate people, bring in armed defenders or armed looters, turn aisles into choke points. If you enter a grocery store during a real collapse, you're not scavenging. You're gambling your life for a stale loaf of bread. The third place everyone goes, city centers. Because that's where help is supposed to be. People imagine FEMA trucks, National Guard tents, emergency stations, distribution lines. In a small disaster, sure, those exist. In an actual collapse, those places turn into human reservoirs of panic, disease, and conflict. City centers become disease incubators, looting zones, fuel for riots, magnetic targets for violence, politically contested territory. Crowds don't create safety. Crowds create chaos. And chaos doesn't care who you are. The fourth place everyone goes, gas stations. Because they think they're going to drive to safety. Spoiler alert, they're not. Gas stations run out of fuel faster than grocery stores run out of food. People show up with empty tanks, fight over pumps, and then sit there stranded when the electricity cuts and nothing works. Gas stations become micro-riots, ambush points, roadblocks, flashpoints for aggression. If you're stopping at a gas station during a collapse, you're already losing. The fifth place everyone goes, police stations and military posts. This is where people go because they've lost the plot completely. They imagine order, protection, stability. But remember this, law enforcement and the military do not exist to save everyone. Their first job is to preserve infrastructure and continuity, not hold your hand. In a true collapse, police stations shut their doors. Armories go into lockdown. Access points become fortified. Civilians become variables. No one is allowed inside. And the crowds that gather outside, they become problems. Quickly. If you run to the authorities for protection during a collapse, you are placing your life in the hands of exhausted, overtaxed strangers under extreme pressure. That's not protection. That's roulette. The sixth place everyone goes, the hospitals. This is where desperation becomes a death trap. Hospitals represent safety in normal times. But in societal collapse, they turn into overcrowded desperation pits with no power, no sanitation, no medicine, no security, no order. Desperate families plus infected survivors plus panicked civilians plus limited space equals catastrophe. Hospitals become triage war zones. And triage doesn't mean help everyone. It means let some people die faster so we can save others. You don't want to be anywhere near that calculus. The seventh place everyone goes, the wilderness. Ah yes, the classic fantasy. When everything collapses, I'll just go into the woods and live off the land. Sure you will. So will everyone else. And guess what? Most forests can't sustain even 20% of the population trying to live off them. Wildlife disappears fast. Clean water runs dry. People get territorial. Fires start. Then the crowd fragments into small, violent pockets of hungry humans who don't know the difference between edible plants and toxic ones. Nature isn't peaceful. Nature is a competition you're not trained for. The woods will kill the unprepared just as fast as any city. So where should you go? Let's talk strategy. Real, sober, no hope, no heroic survival strategy. The goal is simple. Avoid people. Avoid panic. Avoid predictability. You survive by going where others won't. Not where they can't go, where they won't think to go. Here's where that leads you. Option A, the dead zones. The places everyone avoids automatically. Industrial areas, office parks, power stations, warehouses, shipyards, storage complexes, abandoned commercial buildings. Why are these good? Because nobody is emotionally attached to them. Nobody flees to the old tire warehouse. Nobody panics their way into an industrial freezer plant. Nobody rushes to the boring places. And boring is beautiful. Industrial zones have water, tools, materials, shelter, space, privacy. They're ugly. They're forgotten. They're perfect. Option B, the suburban edges. Not the neighborhoods. The edges. The buffer spaces. Drainage canals. Utility corridors. Empty lots. Tree lines behind subdivisions. Gaps between commercial zones. Retention basins. The forgotten slivers between two roads. These areas are invisible to crowds. They're not destinations. They're not resources. They're not even noticed. But they allow movement, concealment, and temporary shelter. They let you travel without being seen. That alone is priceless. Option C, rooftops and high points. People think horizontally, not vertically. Rooftops give vision, wind, isolation, escape routes, solitude. As long as you're careful about water, exposure, and exits, a rooftop beats a basement 10 times out of 10. Basements become tombs. Rooftops become fortresses. Option D, the wrong direction strategy. If panic drives people away from a city, you go sideways. Not toward danger. Not toward crowds. Perpendicular. While everyone else clusters in the same predictable flows, you slip off into the spaces they ignore. Survival isn't about speed. It's about non-interference. You're not outrunning the danger. You're avoiding the herd.